kiss for you.
Wow, so this is the third time I'm doing this. I literally had to redo my entire script because of what Stadia didn't say. So let's just get into it, I guess. Stadia's been in the news a lot recently. Stadia has also shut down its first-party development studios, made their current developers unhappy at them, marketed Stadia horribly in many different confusing ways, and just recently, about 3 days ago, GeForce Now decided that it'd be a good time to double the price to $10 a month. So a lot has messed up the current script. So instead of talking about Stadia, my experience and how to fix it, like in the original, I'm going to be talking about where Stadia currently stands, why what it has done hasn't worked, and how GeForce's price increase is a major game changer for the space. So, unlike my GeForce Now video, which people love for some reason, I'm not going to go into a technical dive into Stadia, because it performs quite similar to GeForce Now actually, with the exception that instead of pixel crushing and stuttering that I talked about in the GeForce Now video, it has less stuttering but has more input lag. Input lag and general lag are more prevalent on Stadia than GeForce Now, and as you see from gameplay, there's a weird draw distance thing, where if you look at like the trees and sort of like out in the distance for the Destiny 2 stuff that's happening, it's like weird and blurry, if that makes sense. And it's actually separate from the frame rate. So I'll get into other facets of that later. First, I want to look at Stadia's future, I guess, to which many looks rather grim at the moment with all the things that have been happening. So we have to really look at Stadia's inception, because it's an important part of its future. So Stadia originally started with its proof of concept in 2016, showing Doom 2016, which apparently convinced enough people to fund this expensive cloud trash can. The main draw of Stadia when it began was when it was a beta test, which I was able to take a part of, was it ran in a browser. You didn't have to download special software to run it. It could be ran on phones, tablets, through the browser, TVs, or computers with a Provide app. 2018 test was a unique opportunity. I was really excited because at this point I hadn't actually tried one of the cloud streaming things, because GeForce Now did exist, but it was only for Shield TVs, and after that for a while until the open-ish beta, it was only available for people that had Shield TVs and in that circle, which not a lot of people had. My hopes unfortunately quickly disappeared, as within minutes I already had issues. The game I was allowed to test was Odyssey. I wasn't able to record any footage of it because of their guidelines or whatever, but basically similar to the GeForce Now stuff, I remember seeing the red connection is poor button pop up a lot. I had pretty good internet, not amazing, but it was 100, 105 down and 12 up, which is pretty good in my area. As I said before, lots of issues, mainly in the lag department. Not stuttering like GeForce Now, but actually input and movement lag between shots happened quite a bit, and just general slowness of menus, unresponsive, I would say. On top of what still persists now with this weird bad compression type of thing that's happening. It's not pixel crushing that happens with GeForce Now. It's kind of like a low resolution draw distance. Again, footage of Destiny 2, you should be able to see the weird sampling going on. This isn't present in GeForce Now, so that's why I was able to identify it very quickly. At this point, I didn't want to use the service, and it was beta and free. And I knew it was beta, so I was able to actually submit my feedback, which is pretty cool. And to some extent, some of the issues were fixed. But many of them still are active today, and I have to pay $10 a month for it. So right off the bat, today was kind of in a rough state. Can't comment fully on GeForce Now in its early days, but I did try the beta for that, and it was actually pretty impressive. There were some mouse lag from a couple of games, but everything went surprisingly smoothly. Low lag and input latency. The game ran really well. No sampling or compression issues. GeForce had a good start and a good selection of games to test on as well. It wasn't just one game, it was a bunch of it, which meant, hey, we're confident in our product. You can try a bunch of games, it doesn't really matter, they're all going to run well. And they ended up running pretty well. I tested No Man's Sky and Black Desert Online, Siege, a couple of those. So what Stadia was up against, I don't want to make it into a comparison video, but I do want to sort of explain what Stadia was up against even at the time, to sort of shine light on how it's either going to need to be killed off by the end of the year, which I hope it doesn't, or end up changing in some sort of way. I do want to test out xCloud as well, that's another big one, but currently that's not an option. And to a lot of people, it's like, oh, Stadia hasn't done anything since launch. They've done a lot since launch. You know why I know? Because I spent the next hour researching all the stuff that they've done, realizing, hey, my original script was wrong, because they don't market their stuff, which we'll get to that in a moment. But basically, the crux of Stadia and why it originally failed at launch is because of its business model, which I'll get into now. A quick recap of the model. Stadia was more expensive than GeForce Now, but as of today, the 20th of March, NVIDIA announced special Founders Edition pricing is going to be changed to the official pricing, which is $10 a month. Anyone who already had the Founders Edition pricing and is currently paying for it will still pay the $5 a month forever, but if you cancel your sub and rejoin, you will be joined at the new price. So new users that join now and old ones like me that had my sub ran out will pay the Stadia's current price, or what Stadia is currently, which is $10 a month. The biggest difference, though, is that Stadia requires you to buy games specifically for Stadia, meaning if you already own games somewhere else, it's pretty useless. Google's reasoning is that some games are tailor-made to run on Stadia, and so need special code that isn't available on other game copies or databases or that stuff. There is some validity to that statement. Some games are optimized, like Cyberpunk and Red Dead Redemption 2, Human Fall Flat, a couple others, but with the competition, it doesn't really make sense to buy the game, usually for full price. They're getting a little bit better about sales, but it was when it was launching at full price for these games that typically were like half price or maybe a little higher, weren't full price, right, when it, on other platforms. But you pay full price for a cloud service, you also have to pay $10 a month for it. Another fact, the games were even more expensive on Stadia when they launched, like they weren't ever on sale, as I said. They're getting better at that, but it's not really the commonplace. It's like an exception still. Another point is these Stadia versions are non-transferable, meaning if Stadia goes down or is defunct, that money is gone, at least as it currently stands. Something I forgot to mention in my GeForce Now video is if you only have GeForce Now as an option for playing certain games, like you don't have the option to play on like a console or a PC otherwise, then don't get games for GeForce Now, because then it's basically like buying it for Stadia, right? Stadia Pro, which is like their subscription thing, $10 a month, they do have included games for free, similar to PS Plus, where as long as you're subscribed, you get to keep them. Pro members do also get discounts on games, however, it seems it's only on certain games, and it's not like a flat rate. Like an Xbox Game Pass has like a 10% flat rate. It seems like it varies by game. Free weekends for games are also starting to pop up. I saw a couple for like NBA, but the NBA one I have here, it says it's only for paying members, so that's a little weird. It's like, here, have this free weekend of this game, even though, for instance, like Steam's like, here, free weekend of the game, just download it or whatever. 4K support is even included in the $10 a month one, but many people are reporting that it's really just 1080p upscaled, not true 4K, which isn't great. There's even a 30-day free trial of Stadia Pro, which is like incredible, because I'll get to one of the big selling points that Stadia fails to mention, but yeah. So, with all these good things I've said about Stadia, going in Stadia's favor, why isn't it working? That's one of the questions I'm going to try to ask. Why, with all these benefits that Stadia has added since launch, is it still not getting people to join it? One thing I also like is Stadia's free tier is much better than GeForce's Now free tier. GeForce Now free tier limits you to an hour session. You have to wait in a queue. Yeah, hour session, wait in a queue. You don't get RTX. It's capped at 1080p. But you get access to all your existing games that are compatible in the library. Stadia has no time limit and no queue. It also doesn't have RTX, but we'll get to that in a moment. And it's still capped at 1080p, but you don't have any games available except Destiny and Super Bomberman R. So it's much better in that there's no time limit. You can play for however long, and you don't have to wait in like a 2-hour queue to get your game, so that's good. But even again, with the game deficiency that Stadia's free tier has, it's still much better than GeForce Now free tier, because you can try out the service, see how it works without waiting in line, without having to go through this process. You can just jump in. And I even had less stutters and problems on the free tier than I have GeForce Now. So by all accounts, except from some weird draw distance things, Stadia's free tier is really great. Because at least for now, GeForce Now is also capped at 1080p generally, so Stadia can go up to 4K on the paid version versus GeForce Now, which even if you pay for it, is still capped at 1080. So if, and there's a big if in here, you are willing to pay for games on Stadia. Another thing I should mention is that you can still pay for games on Stadia on the free version, so it's not like, oh, you have to pay $10 a month and then you can start buying games. You can buy games on the free version if for some reason you want to do that, which might be better. I don't know. Well, that's an interesting concept. But yeah, even without paying $10 a month, you can still buy games for Stadia on the free tier. Then you're kept at 1080p, all that stuff. But yeah, the free tier is still better than GeForce Now at this point, and yet still pales in comparison to GeForce Now's 10 million subscribers. I believe the reason is, with the added good things Stadia is providing, it still fails because number one, the bad launch tainted many people's views of Stadia, but more importantly, number two, the ongoing bad marketing for the service. Google repeatedly seems to position Stadia as a PC alternative rather than a rent-a-PC option. Because of the buy-to-play game model, it would make sense that it would try to replace PC, but that's not really what streaming is or what it should be used for. Streaming is either for people that travel and like to play games on their old hardware when they're out, or they don't have access to the PC like me. And my college dorm can't bring my PC, so I use GeForce Now for a while, or don't have a PC, would like to start either getting into games or don't have like a console thing yet. Don't want to have the commitment of that. Want stuff better than a console as well. So it's either like, I don't have a bunch of games where I want something better than a console but don't want to spend $1,000 with like a PC. Yeah, in that regards, no wonder that GeForce Now and Shadow, which we'll get to in a moment, are the best options. It is because they allow you to accumulate games through known providers like Steam, Uplay, Epic Store, Origin, which are not bound to any one service, and you can play them freely. That way the investment isn't bound to a service. The question of, am I going to use this service enough to justify a game purchase, is not the type of question you want consumers asking. Stadia is failing because that is the type of question people who are interested in Stadia have to ask. All the benefits of Stadia in the world won't help if the commitment is too high. Even though I don't like GeForce Now going at $10 a month, people are still going to pay for it, because even if they don't have a large Steam library to play on and would want to buy games for it, they aren't stuck with that being the only option to play them, which is on GeForce Now. They can eventually get those games on PC if they're interested and they end up buying a PC. And even if they don't, they still have free games, right? That's another thing. GeForce Now, you free or pay version of GeForce Now, you can then play all those free games like Rocket League, like CSGO and whatever else for free, right? It's not a thing you have to pay for it. Stadia doesn't have that. They don't have that free game collection that you can just go and play on Stadia. But yeah, you can do that on GeForce Now. You can't on Stadia. Having those free games is a very low commitment incentive to get people into the service. The biggest sin Stadia really commits is that it's not informing its customers about what it's actually doing. Everyone knows the launch was bad. Everyone knows Google was working on it. And when new features are announced, like the save sharing and that kind of stuff, they talk about it. But what they don't talk about in ads or announcements is what they're actually doing to get people back. Stadia Pro members get free games, many of them added each week. Did you know that? I definitely did not. I had to rewrite again most of this video script because of the things Stadia didn't mention. I knew about the pro member discounts, not about the free weekends or the free tier or the free games. The free games and stuff aren't free unless you're a pro member, obviously, which makes sense. And yeah, if Stadia launched like this, I bet a lot more people would have joined. Instead, they launched with a $120 starter bundle, 3 months of pro membership, a Chromecast, and a new controller. That was required. It was like, hey, we launched, but you have to buy this stupid expensive bundle that no one likes. Like, if they launched with the $10 Pro thing, you had to buy the games, whatever, but Pro came with some games like it does now, and they gave a 25% discount on the games you had, right? And had some free weekends, like it is currently. I guarantee you'd be in a better position than about to explode. Google was not prepared. They just assumed, like, hey, we got the technology, this will be easy. Similar to with Amazon. We have this whole thing like, hey, we got this money, you need to make some good games and make more money. Got it? Ring, 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 ring. Hey, yeah, what's that? Oh, I need more than money and talent. A direction? What? A plan? What's a plan? Joe, did you make a plan? What plan? P-L-A-N. Oh, yeah. Tell them they're doing great. Everything looks good. Encourage them. Okay, hey guys, you're doing great. Can't wait to see what you're making. I'll be down in a couple of days. Check it out. Beep, 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 beep. Stadia shuts down all of its game development studios. Stadia kills off its main head of marketing. After launch, no one paid attention to Stadia. The worst part being Stadia, even when they did improve, didn't tell anyone. Like, I haven't seen Stadia ads for the new features at all. Stadia's marketing is awful. They talk about stuff like no waiting to download, being able to play right away on hardware you own, being able to play in 4K on TV, which is great marketing. It doesn't convince people, though. Like, having to buy a massive catalog of games for one service is absurd, right? What they're not telling people, again, is pro members get free games this month to keep. Hey, there's a free tier, check it out. Hey, a free demo, check it out. Nothing, no information is given. I checked again about the included games, and the first couple, I was like, oh, these aren't that good. There's like some weird music games, Pac-Man, and it was like, oh, this is whatever. I go to see more, and then there's F1, Enter the Gungeon, Little Nightmares 2, Steam World Heist. Those should be on the front page. Like, no wonder Stadia isn't doing well. The things they are doing well, no one talks about, because they're not advertising it at all. Here's a list of all the things Stadia is doing well. They have the free trial for Pro, which I'll get to, free weekends of games, free games included, Pro discounts, 4K support, no waiting in line for the free tier, and can be played on multiple devices, and it's not tied to a device like GeForce Now or Shadow is, both of which need dedicated software to be installed. And it seems like a home run, and yet because of the marketing and Stadia's lack of a plan, none of that's being explained. It's incredible how Stadia is ironically being destroyed by bad marketing from Google. Stadia also doesn't have a search bar, which I said before, so when you go to the store, it's just a mess of different games. You can't really figure out what's what and where's stuff. It's like a very limited selection. It's like if Steam didn't have a search bar and you had to just search the store. Even then, it's better because they have categories. Stadia doesn't even have categories. Again, Stadia is also better than GeForce Now and Shadow or anything else right now because you can literally sign up for a 30-day trial of Stadia Pro, play all those included games, and beat probably all of them for free. Free. Big selling point. Arrow. I need to hit Google over the head with this arrow. It's free. How do you convince people? Well, first thing is marketing. Fix it. Say, hey, here's all this stuff. What they can also do, double down on the assistant. Wi-Fi thing where you can share your saved data with another person. They mentioned that once. They haven't done anything with it. Get the Stadia app on everything. It's been a year and a half, and that thing that they promised at launch isn't there. Stadia app is just not there. You have to, like, sideload it into everything. Basically, yeah, I mean, get people onto the service. Nvidia can't do that because they have too many people. The $5 a month option when they had it was gone. They only had 6-month increments because too many people were buying it. Google really doesn't have that issue, and so doing something like this and all this advertising would help traffic. The biggest hurdle is they have to admit that no one's buying games on Stadia. It's really that simple. Acknowledging it means continuing to push things like free weekends and bundles and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, the last thing I really want to talk about, this is already 18. Last thing I want to talk about before going into the conclusion is about where your money is actually going. Google Stadia and Amazon Luna, Shadow, and all the others aren't going to be a good investment. Meaning if you give these companies money, they'll not try and make the service better with that money. They will not improve or change much in any way. That money isn't going to cloud gaming service because it's not their business. Microsoft and Nvidia, however, that is their business. Not in a total sense, but at least in a large part. Nvidia's goldmine, for instance, is data centers and its cloud architecture, its processing power, right? Same with Azure and Microsoft. They are built on this foundation, so while gaming's not both companies' primary focus, it is a major part of both companies' agendas with their respective sectors. Google and Amazon don't have a gaming division, Microsoft and Nvidia do. GeForce is huge, and the tech driving is integrated heavily into Nvidia's workflow. Similar story with Xbox, a huge division dedicated to gaming and creating an ecosystem. Paying for their services will be making an investment into these companies that will certainly do more than going towards more and go towards improving the experience of their cloud servers, right? Because they do care, or they wouldn't have a division if they didn't. At the end of the day, it's about money, but it's more importantly that Nvidia and Microsoft, that these projects work out than it is Google and Amazon, which current progress report is throw stuff at the wall and kill anything that doesn't stick. Conclusion. Longest video, blah. Stadia's in a pretty rough state, which is impressive because, again, the reason they're in a rough state is because their marketing sucks and not enough hoopla is being given about certain features, which is absurd to me. Well, don't deny that people are taking to Stadia like other services eventually and aren't currently compared to, again, the other services. Things are looking up, at least hopefully, right? If they just get their marketing out there with the free version and all the free stuff that they're giving it, it can hopefully, with this price increase to one of the other competitors, be on an equal playing field, and maybe people will consider Stadia. You know, it doesn't really make a ton of sense. I don't personally use it. I don't personally like either Stadia or GeForce Now, but that's me. I have a PC, I have a Series X, check out both of those reviews. I have all this stuff. I don't need Stadia, I don't need GeForce Now, and so that feeling of, oh, the lag or, oh, the stutters or whatever, it doesn't make sense for me, right? Because I don't need that. I'm not reliant on that. But someone who is reliant may be like, oh, that's fine, I can deal with that, and that's great. I really think that Stadia isn't being given a fair chance. I mean, it got a chance, don't get me wrong, but, like, it's really not being given a fair chance by Google to, like, prove what they're doing is actually effective. Like, it seems like they're scaling back, which I guess is good, but they're scaling back a year and a half too late. So, yeah, those are just my thoughts on Stadia. Hopefully this video does not turn into a 25-minute rant. I'll try to keep this shorter. But yeah, so big projects actually in the works. Two more bigger videos that I'm working on. So yeah, hopefully a mastercast after this. And if you like this and want to see all blah, 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 yeah, see you all next time.